So today I'd like to talk about desire. Um, what's going on with desire? Where does it come from? And before I do that, I also want to tie this in eventually to free will, because it was actually D&W that pointed out to me maybe a couple of years ago. He uh, he raised the question, how much free choice do we really have? He's a hardcore determinist, right? I'm I don't know where sit on that spectrum, but um, I think it's a bit like the double slit experiment. It depends how you look at the world, and maybe that actually affects the world itself. Um, but I think that we must live as if we have got free choice, even if we don't. But he brought up the point that, you know, when we get up in the morning, what we don't choose our desires. We don't choose our desires. We don't think today I'm going to want to eat this, or today I'm going to want to smoke cigarettes. Today I'm going to want to. I'm choosing to want to, you know, drink alcohol or whatever it is, or right. The desires are there, and they either come from our natural they come from our DNA, natural DNA, or they come from they've been planted in us. Yeah. So I want to speak about desire, what it is, um, and at why it's the engine of life as we know it.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Uh, there is two sources of desire, as I can see it. There's a natural one, which is built into us, the desire for food to keep us going. It's the survival instinct, basically. That's riddled with desire. Desire to eat, to keep us the machine going. Desire for sex, to reproduce. Desire, desire, desire. It's built into desire to avoid being killed in order to carry on as a machine. And then there's cultural desire, which is manufactured most of the time. It's desirable for the manufacturer to get you to desire his goods, whereas he wouldn't sell any. So there's a manufactured desire, manufacture of discontent, desire, discontent, keeps you in a state of lack, and then you constantly need to feed yourself from the outside. So no emphasis on going into play, which we've mentioned in previous podcasts. Going out to play, going out to desiring something externally, exogenous desire as opposed to endogenous desire, as opposed to fulfilling yourself from within, rather, and standing down the exogenous in favor of trying to cultivate an inner supply of what you need. Instead of finding it on the outside, you find an inner source of fulfillment. So this is the Eastern approach. You go in, you meditate, you stand down all of this desire as much as you can, and then out of that springs minimalism, simplicity, simple living. Most of what we desire and consume in this consumerist cult is unnecessary, totally unnecessary when analysed. When looked at, critically, you'll find that a lot of it you can do without. How many shoes, for instance, have each of you listening to this got in the cupboard? Go and count. You'll be surprised. You see, I think most people, it's probably around about 10 or 13 pairs, believe it or not.
No, women.
Women much more. That's men, yeah, for sure. I remember I'd done this with a philosopher called David Pearce. I asked him how many shoes, I was asking people just in general, how many shoes have you got? And they were saying 10, 8, 13, 20. I asked David Pearce and he said 2, which was quite exceptional. One formal pair for going out, smart pair, and then another pair for just walking around casual, rougher pair. So that was quite exceptional too. But most people you'll find is probably on average maybe 10, 8 to 10 pairs, which is ridiculous when you think about it. But this is the manufacturing of desire, of discontent, you see. They sell you the lie that you need all this amount of equipment, all of this food, all of this stuff, abundance of everything, in order to to maintain your metabolism, basically, your psychological metabolism as well. So it's a complete destabilization of the people, the masses, in order to sell massive amounts of products. So, and also desire, I thought about desire in relation to reincarnation. I was thinking about reincarnation recently, and what would be the mechanism to lock people in to this cycle of reincarnation, the samsaric wheel, samsara, the wheel of return, the wheel of returning. And it would be desire, if you think about it. If there's unresolved desires when you die, at the point of death, that's a massive force to propel you back into another incarnation, to fulfill those desires. So it still runs. See, that seems to be the engine of the whole game, desire. Every creature desires to live, it's driven to live, there's an impulse to live, to survive, to fight for its life. So until that mechanism is stood down, I think reincarnation, you're continuously recycling. The energy is not fulfilled, is not resolved. The problem is not resolved, which is what desire is. There's a problem. There's a feeling of lack or a feeling of frustration that needs to be satisfied. Until that's completely satisfied, which is what the Buddhists indicate with their nirvana, the snuffing out, the extinction of desire, the extinction of dissonance, the snuffing out of dissonance. Until that has been achieved, which is enlightenment, they call it enlightenment, there will be a cycle of return. The force has not been discharged, so it lives still. It's requiring satisfaction.
Yeah, and we also spoke about healthy desire, and we gave the example of an ice cream that I can get here, right, which is like vegan and made of cashews, and it's got no sugar in it. It's got different type of sweeteners, but it's still desire, and it's still and basically, like you said before, desire is basically another way of speaking about discontent. That's what it is, right? Because if I'm desiring something, that means I want things to be different, and it's not okay. Things aren't okay as they are now. They're only going to be okay when I get the ice cream, and then when I've had the ice cream, then the next thing comes up, and on and on and on and on it goes. And in fact, and of course, we are here. Like you say, the whole thing is driven by desire. We are here because of the sexual desire. That's why we're here. And then we're basically manufacturing a new machine a new desire machine. The minute the baby comes out, it's crying, right? And that crying is about desire. I have desire for food. I have need for sleep. I have need for comfort. I've got all these desires now. So you've created a whole new desire machine, and that goes on and on and on, and you can never quite fulfill those desires. And I mean, it's crazy when you see, like, for example, I saw a little film, a joke TV, a joke. There's a channel that does these very well-made news articles, sort of making fun of society, and it came at the guys came out with a video saying, "Breaking news: parents are shocked again, despite knowing that their children are going to be coming out of school, the exact date. But now it's the holidays, and parents are at wit's end. They don't know what to do. They've got to look after their own children." And it's ridiculous, because they're just creating trouble for themselves and for the poor kids that they now have to occupy these kids, occupy them all the time, because they've got all these desires. And then the kids go, "Mummy, mummy, can I have an ice cream?" And it goes on and on and on, and it's never fulfilled. It's never, yeah, this is what keeps the whole game going. And then you've got on top of it, once you bring these people and drag them into this mad existence, then they've got to somehow deal with all the manufactured discontent. I mean, it's just, when you think about it, the idea of manufacturing discontent is so terrible. It's just absolutely awful. And if you want to see the instructor, well, first time I came across this was the Adam Curtis film. So I think it was Century of the Self, where he brings in I've forgotten the guy's name. It was I can't remember. You made
Chomsky?
No, not Chomsky. The guy that was Freud's nephew or grandson.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Edward Bernays,
Edward
right?
Bernays, a master of manufacturing discontent.
Yeah,
And how
they employed him. And when you think about it, to actually manufacture discontent in people is just horrible. It's the most obnoxious, terrible thing, and it can lead to suicide even, right? And this is what happened. This is what's happening online with Instagram and everything, where people are putting pictures of themselves right up on Instagram, all airbrushed pictures of themselves up on Instagram, and they don't realize that what they're doing, they're manufacturing discontent in the people that are seeing them, because the people are then discontented with the way they look, right? The manufacture of discontent is so dark, and basically it's the manufacture of desire, right?
Yeah, exactly. Edward Bernays, yeah, a master manipulator. And that's what it's all about. It's not his fault. He's also driven, you see, by DNA, which is the ultimate grandmaster of the creation of discontent capsules, which are people and entities. So that's why we're so against, life itself, because it does seem to be embedded in the very core of life. Desire, 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 everything. And obviously, the Buddhists saw this. That's why they spoke of nirvana, the extinction, the snuffing out of this desire. That's the ultimate. And behind that, because you can desire not to desire as well. And that can be the driving force and a neurosis of a kind. So you have to understand that when the only thing necessary is to just stop. Is to just stop that and realize that you're already fulfilled. Before you start the process of desiring anything, even the desire to stop desire, it's already behind that is already a backdrop of peace. And that's, I think we've mentioned this in the previous podcast. We've seen these white posters around in Cyprus. They're just simply billboards, and they haven't had time or money to put the billboards up. Maybe the collapse of the economy, or they've got no money, so there's nobody to even pay for the billboards. So it's left them blank. And this is what I'm saying. Before any desire to create the artwork's already complete. It's already perfect in itself as the blank sheet. That is what we're aiming for. That is the peace that passes all misunderstanding, or passes all, attempts to gain a situation of peace. You've already got that. You're situated in peace, essentially, before you begin desiring to attain peace. This is the higher perspective. You're already established in a peace that's innate. It's already your natural state, peace. But the desire is a thing that is laid on top. There's a motivation to gain that peace, but it's already the case. So the better strategy is to just stop desiring anything, and peace is always already the case.
Yeah, but you say stop desiring anything. That's a ridiculous concept, because that's like the only way to stop desiring anything is to kill yourself, right? And we're not advocating for that, right? So that's the only way to stop desiring. So we can't. That's not the way, in my opinion, right? I don't really have any answers, because I still struggle with it myself, right? But one thing that I think is interesting when I manage to catch myself, which is rarely, in a state of desire, is I think it's at some stage for desire. I think it's a good idea to do this with everything, at least once, right? That when I have a desire, so for example, the ultimate desire is the desire to have children. In my opinion, that's the most obnoxious desire, in my opinion, right? And often when I ask people why do they want children, or why they're going to have children, or why they had children, they say because I wanted to, or because I wanted to be a mum, I wanted to be a dad, I want this, I want that, I want. It's always about I want, right? It's never about the child, right? It's about I want. And what I'm saying is, like, once is to realize that we don't choose our desires, that they get planted in us either by our diabolical DNA or by external forces. So when the desire comes up, I don't think it's relevant to say stop the desire. Yes, you can do the Buddhist thing, but that requires you to go to a monastery and cut yourself off from everyone, which is, I'm not saying that's wrong. I think it's probably a good idea to do that just for a week or something, right, here and there, just to try it out. But what I think is a valuable thing to do is that when a desire comes up, instead of fulfilling the desire, start to go deeper. Say, oh, where did that desire come from? Why do I want that? Why do I want to have a child? Where did that desire come from? Right? And why do I want to eat that chocolate bar? Right? Where does that desire come from? Oh, it came from the beautiful wrapping. Yeah. Who did that? Made me want to. How come all of a sudden I want to put this 25, 30 grams of sugar in my body, right? And the worst type of oil and all those things. How did I get to want that in the first place? Why do we even want that? right? To go a bit deeper, at least once, with everything that you want, whether it's a car or a house or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or or a drink or drugs or sex or whatever it is. Why do I want that? Like, same with sex. Like, you see a woman or a man and you think, oh, I'd like to have sex with them, right? Instead of like going along with that, right? That's interesting. Why? How come? Where did I get this desire from? Why? Why do I have this desire? And then you'll get to the bottom of why you have the desire to sex, because it's your body trying to get you to reproduce.
Yeah, so I'll offer another perspective. This is how I see it. There's inauthentic and authentic desire, and I'll explain. The inauthentic desire. So what is desire? What's the core of desire? A need. The need to satisfy something basic without which you would die. So that you would say is an essential need. Now the desire is that need, and there's a dramatic charge around it. That's what manufacturing of discontent does. It takes a basic need for food and then it charges it with electric energy. So then it turns into desire. For instance, if you want food, there's food that will just nourish you, simply nourish you, without any exotic presentation, with cream on top and all the rest of that. There'd be no desire attached to that. It would just be a need fulfilled. This is the calm kind of dealing with so-called desire. There's an essential need for food. You simply satisfy that need without any dramatic charge. To me, desire is the need with a dramatic charge on top. There's loads of layers of dramatic charge. Then it turns into something, oh, we must have this thing, I must have sex. There might be a need, you might be attracted to that woman, you may be attracted, now unpack it. Have a look properly, and then calm that charge, dissipate that electric charge, and you'll find that what remains is just simply, there's a woman in front of you, she has a nice body, she has nice eyes, you can examine that calmly without the electric charge to want to run towards her and have sex with her. And by the time you've calmly examined what it is that's attracting you, you'll find that charge is dissipate. You probably won't even want the sex. It was fine just to admire that thing in front of you. So the same with food. If you really have a nutritional need for something, that's a genuine desire for that thing to be satisfied. There's a need there, an essential need, without which you would die or you would starve. So of course there's going to be an attraction. There's going to be an attraction to get that food. But it doesn't have to be an attraction to get cream cakes, all of the stuff that they present to you as a need. That's not a need at all. So you can dissipate that. Just satisfy the needs that you have. Needs, not desires. There's no desire, there's a need. The body needs certain things. The body's not even presenting desires to you. When you really examine it, it's presenting needs to you, without which, if they're not fulfilled, you will die. So that's what it's about, really, on a base level. You have to get down to basics. When you get down to basics, you'll find a lot of the things you desire, they're all manufactured either on the outside, exogenously, or endogenously. You've created all this charge. See, you're too attached to this thing that you think you must have. See, what you must have are the simple things in life. Those are the things that are essential for your well-being and your health and your longevity. The simple things. Not all the added things. That's the electric charge around needs. They've built a whole system where they've taken basic needs. They understand that you need certain things. They're very clever, like Bernays was. And they've now created an electric charge around all of these needs. And they've made them into deep desires now. Things without which you would die. But it's an aftershave. It's a perfume. It's a perfume. It's a dress. It's a wedding. It's a wedding. And then women desire getting married. They must get married. It's essential that they have the white dress, the one they saw in the store, that everyone respects, and they get the status charge from that when they wear it. There's absolutely no need for marriages at all. When examined, there's no need at all for all the paraphernalia that comes along with marriage. All there's a need for marriage, essentially, is just giving a commitment to somebody, which you can do simply with someone you find suitable. You can say, I'm committed to you. I love you. I like being around you. I get a nice energy when you're around. You feel, you complete me, in speech marks, which is not the case, because you have to find completion within, but maybe you can mutually help each other to self-develop and self-complete. If that's the case, all you need to do is give your word. Your simple word was sufficient in the ancient times. To be betrothed, to be married to somebody, you just simply gave them your word. And the other person gave she, if it's a male, she gave you her word. And that was it. You simply shake hands and there's the contract. No need for all of this manufactured desire for dresses, for cakes, for this, for that, for rings, for this, for tuxedos, for this, for bow ties, for tables, for lighting, for bouquet, for this, on and on it goes. What, to the tune of £100,000, £30,000, millions? For what? This is manufactured desire of something that is not necessary. See, the needs are for sure they're there, as Danny rightly said. You can't stand down basic needs, is what he should have said. You can for sure stand down desire because it's artificial. It's not necessary, but you can't stand down basic needs. That's why I go back to basic needs. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not being able to stand down basic needs. That's what the machine needs to continue. And if you're interested in continuing in this flesh machine, then you have to service those basic needs. But you don't have to service desire. That's something else.
Yeah, I hear you. What came to mind is that I remember once in an Overeaters Anonymous meeting, people were saying that, you know, once they managed to curb those, either curb the desires or curb the behaviors around the food, they kind of like, it was a bit like taking a shower, right? You've got the need to be, you know, you've got the need to have a shower, right? But you go and have the shower and then that's it. The shower's over. You're not thinking the whole day about having a shower and how exciting it is going, and you're not thinking about it afterwards. But when it comes to addiction and obsession, and we're all addicted and obsessed to so many things, most of us are, yeah. And you know, when it comes to food, for example, for those people who've got struggles with the food and obsessions around food, for example, which I have had on and off for a long time, it's not like that. You know, it's not like a shower. I start thinking about it beforehand, then I'm thinking about it during the eating, then I'm speaking about it during the eating, and then after the eating, I'm thinking about it if I've overeaten, and on and on and on it goes. And yeah, it can cause a lot of pain. That whole cycle of desire and how it's. And as I say, you know, if you go into, I've always said that supermarkets are dens of iniquity. You know, and part of me loves going there. So exciting, all that stuff there. But how much of the stuff in the supermarket is really any good for us, right? I'd say probably maybe 10%. And even that has got poison on it, right? Even the fruits and vegetables are sprayed with poison. But leave that out for the moment. At least they're, you know, at least the fruits and the vegetables, in most cases, are not. They don't package them up in some fancy package, because they're packaged up by nature nicely enough with their colours and stuff and shapes, right? But you know, majority of the other stuff in the supermarkets is just, again, manufacturing discontent. So when you go to a supermarket, you are exposing yourself to a machine that is manufacturing discontent in you. That's what they're doing in there, which, when you think about it, is like, it's so awful. And manufacturing discontent with you only to fill it up with crap that you put in your body, right? And I remember, again, the course I did, this course that I've got a video about, the course that I did called Never Binge Again, and I think now it's called Defeat Your Cravings. One of the things he said is, once he got managed to get some kind of control over his beast, as he would call it, he was able to get some distance, and then he would go into a supermarket, and he would see all the crisps and the cakes and the biscuits and all wrapped up in this, you know, in these fancy shiny wrappings. And he'd say to himself, I don't want to give the money to these people that are doing this. I don't want to give them any of my money to Cadbury's or whatever company that are manufacturing all this discontent?
Yeah, for sure. That's why I come back to need. You see, I absolutely can't see any need for desire at all. There is a need to satisfy needs, basic needs. That's what I'll re-emphasize.
Leave it at the basic need stage and you'll find there will be no basic need because the basic need has already been satisfied in the West.
There'll be no desire.
The basic need. No desire yet. Basic need. It's only when they put the firelighters on it becomes desire. They take the basic need, they put loads of firelighters around it, put loads of petrol, and then fire it up. And now you've got flames of desire, where before there was just simply a basic need that was already satisfied. So no trouble to you at all, because you're always getting your basic food to satisfy your basic need. In the West, I mean. Unless you're a poor bastard who's in the third world and you even got the basic needs satisfied. Now there might be some desire around food because you haven't even got the basic need. You're teetering on starvation. Then some kind of ferocious need for food might come up naturally because it's unnatural the circumstance you find yourself in. You shouldn't be in that state if there was a loving state around you. It would provide your basic needs. That's what they're tinkering with and toying with now. Is it okay in a civilized society that people haven't got their basic needs met? So they're coming up with this idea of basic needs, basic income, basic income to support what? To supply what? Basic needs, to service basic needs, not to service desire. That's something on top. Then you need more money to buy the extra stuff that you don't need. It's desire, the flames they put on it. That's all. They put firelighters on top of basic need, turn it into desire. That's all it is. There is no desire. In a proper compassionate system, there is no desire because the basic needs have been met. So there's not even any basic need. People walk around in that society, if there was one, in complete satisfaction because all their basic needs have been met by the society, by the system, if it was humane. It's driving people into desire because it's putting petrol on it all and flaming it all up. So kids think they need all this stuff, desiring, desire. We can't stop desire. Yes, you can. You can stop it by just focusing on basic need, which is already supplied. So not even that should be troubling you. You should walk without trouble in a first world situation because there's so much abundance. The basic need has long been satisfied. So what's the problem now with everybody? Of course there's a problem because they've manufactured desire. They brought it out of nothing.
Discontent.
Yes.
They've manufactured.
They've taken a basic...
I was just thinking, like, we walk along here, right? And we see a woman with a tight pair of shorts on with a branding on it.
Yes.
Yeah. She is a walking
billboard.
Manufacturer.
A walking billboard of discontent.
A manufacturer.
She's an agent of discontent.
Because she's there with her body showing her boobs and her bum, right? You've seen the fashion here now of women to have like the thongs going right up their crack and they're
not quite showing goods. Not quite. That's the way.
Why?
That's the petrol on the basic need. Yeah. In Africa, they walk naked. The tribes people, the indigenous people have no clothing. So it dissipates all that charge around erogenous zones. They're always on display. So it's taken for second nature. There's no problem. What's the big, all this desire around the erogenous zones in an indigenous society? Have a look at people in the forest, rainforest. They're butt naked. There's no problem. They've got no neurosis around erogenous zones. It's just what it is there. We are, there's someone there. Hello, Mary. She's butt naked. Hello, George. He's butt naked. They're not saying, look at his big, look at his lunchbox. Because there isn't any lunchbox. It's not been packaged. It's there hanging around. It's no big deal. They're making food together while all his equipment is hanging out. And her as well. They're not all looking and thinking, I wish he could take her bra off. Wouldn't mind seeing her tits. That's perverse. That's bullshit. That's manufacturing discontent again. They've hidden all the goods.
And with the branding.
And then it heightened.
And with the branding as well.
Of course.
Branding. So you see a pair of I don't know what, I'm just not into all this shit anyway.
Yeah.
But you can.
Yeah. I've been into it. I'm into it.
You
find it interesting.
See Ray-Ban.
Yeah, I find it very interesting.
See the Ray-Ban glasses, and that's giving you, and these people, they need £200 to £300 or some stupid pair of glasses.
Right.
And they're walking through the streets. They're manufacturing discontent all the time on behalf of Ray-Ban.
As your son said, there could be some value to it because it indicates a good quality product. That's the good use of it. If you see, Heinz baked beans on the tin as opposed to a pound shop one, there is a difference in quality there. You see? So that's what they were in the old days. That's what branding was about. This is a quality product. The customer tries it and sees it is a quality product, a superior product. And then they support that brand loyalty. Why are they loyal? Because there's a product is superior. They put effort into making that product superior. The company, I mean. When this was back in the day,
hold
it
on
was
a second.
more innocent.
In the day, and when more innocent. Hi, you've brought up an interesting subject because an interesting example because Heinz stuff may be better quality in terms of relative to the other,
But it's still junk.
but it's still junk.
Yes,
It's
packaging of junk.
sugar,
Of course.
right? And it's in a can, and God knows it's like
The product
got
itself
no
is
life.
unnecessary.
Correct.
It's a tomato sauce ridden bean, see, lima bean or one of the basic beans that you can easily pick up in a packet for a couple of p. If you go around the shop, the wholesaler, you get them for a couple of p per kilo. See, very cheap. The lima bean or the haricot bean or whatever the baked bean is based on. You see, they've covered it, smothered it with tomato sauce that's unnecessary. It's just taste sensation they're giving you. And then, as you rightly say, they put it in a tin, Heinz label on it, and it is superior. It is a superior tomato sauced bean than the other one. But the bottom line is the damn bean is not, it doesn't need any tomato sauce coating on it. It's fine as it is. You can have dried in a packet and you soak it and boil it and it's beautiful. And you just put your own little bit of salt or pepper or whatever and you got your good bean. What do you need the tomato sauce for? What for? You can have fresh tomatoes.
Exactly, right. So take that to sunglasses, right? I don't wear sunglasses, and I'm now in a country where there's loads of sun, and I've got used to not wearing sunglasses, right? So I'm saying even the Ray-Ban, right, is doing double damage to people. This is number one, is sowing discontent that they don't have sunglasses, and they got to think, oh, look at that pair of sunglasses. I don't have that.
That's right.
I need to get that.
That's right.
Right. So that's sowing their discontent with not having sunglasses.
Yeah.
And then and then sowing further discontent. Oh, it's got Ray-Ban on it.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. I shouldn't be. I've got only a crappy pair of sunglasses. I need to spend £200-300 on the Ray-Ban for their manufacturing.
Yeah, of course.
But these people are walking manufacturers.
Yeah.
Of who?
Yeah.
Coming out of bum. And then of themselves
and of
this
selling product for the companies.
Yeah.
Billboards, walking billboards.
Yeah.
The converse of that is what we were talking about with the rock shoes we're wearing, or the the wet shoes we're wearing. We've tried several pairs of the high street ones for €10, you see, and they've all failed. They've all fallen apart, disintegrated within days, really, and let us down. Now, the idea of branding, the old idea was standards. It was a standard, British standards. There used to be British standards mark on all goods. See, to show the customer that we've been through a rigorous testing process and you can be sure that these products will not fail you. See, that's what I'm into. That's what I like design. I like good design because it functions well and you can lose your life, you see, with the bad functioning products. A parachute, for instance, from a shoddy company. If it doesn't open when it's meant to, the person's plummeting to their death. So literally your life is life and death with some products.
or a car.
Or a car, you see, a badly designed car will let you down when you're in a critical situation and the result is death. So that's why I'm so interested in design, because everything should be built to a certain standard. I agree with British Stars. I don't know why they got rid. Well, I know why, because they want to make more money and sell shoddy goods. You see, that was an age where they had a bit of standard and a bit of pride and there was integrity to some degree. So that's the good use of branding. You can see at a glance that product is a good one. It's not going to let you down. The companies put great effort into making sure the product is reliable on the field, on the ground. You see, that's what I'm looking for. It's very difficult to find these products now.
The desire thing is actually been manufactured. It's been manufactured. If you see animals in the wild, they eat to just satisfy need. They eat to satisfy need. Everything's very simple with them. There's no desire because it's satisfied. The need is there. The only time desire would arise is if they were starving. They were actually literally in a state of starvation, close to death. Then it might intensify and mutate into desire, see, which is a very forceful version of need. It's need ramped up completely. If you turn up the dial on need, you end up with desire. But in the West, where we've got an abundance of everything around us, there should be no desire at all, because everything's being satisfied. All the basic needs have long been satisfied before desire would come along. There's no need for no desire at all. You're never at the verge of starving or anything. You're never in a state of lack here. Not really. when you look at it. In the West here, any Western city you're living in, there's abundance of everything around you. Have a look. There's even waste. You can live on waste. It's so decadent, the cult here, the Western cult. You can live on waste. You can literally live on people's waste here. If you have a look in the dustbins, you'll see that people are throwing away very good things. Trainers that have been worn twice because they've been told by David Beckham that you should throw them away after one wear. This is the cult we're in. We're in this kind of cult, decadent cult. That's actually what's going on. Young people do not want to wear the trainers once they've got one scuff mark on them. Apparently they're not fit to be worn anymore, so they go on the landfill. Have a look in tips. Go to tips. Just have a look in tips. I've done this. Go to look at it and see how many things there are good and been discarded. Mountains of bicycles that just need a little repair. Fridges that just need a little repair. Heaps of stuff piled up. People's discards. So there shouldn't. It's decadent to talk of desire in the West. So there's need. There's not even any need, let alone get into desire. There's not even any essential needs here, hardly, which are not being fulfilled by some charities or whatever. There's no need at all. And there's definitely no need to produce a child, coming back to antinatalism, because the inner child is there. You've already got the inner child on board. When you're born, there's an inner child there with you, inside you, that needs parenting. And that's the whole purpose of self-development. That's what it means, to raise the child within. So you're no longer infantile. You do reach a stage of maturation. And that stage of maturation is the fully developed human being. It would be, because it's fully developed. It's not infantile. There's no retardation in its mind, body, anything. It's completely mature. It's completely efficient as a being. That's a human being. Without you projecting outside, see, the need for a child. Where is the need when you come into being? There is no need. You're already a child. You need to raise yourself. Everybody's aware of that. That's why there's a self-development industry or industry that's taking advantage of you, sending you out again to consume things in order to develop yourself. The only thing necessary is to refocus and see that it's the inner development that's required. The child is already waiting to be raised within your child. There's no need to produce another one and create more desires and more needs, more essential needs to be satisfied when you haven't even satisfied the essential needs in yourself, clearly, or else you wouldn't desire a child.
Yeah, and you're sort of coming back to what you were saying about desire and need. Yes, desire is needs ramped up, but even the whole idea of needs, what on earth are we doing creating more needs? What's the point of doing that? To create, to create beings that have all these needs and then desires that are packed on top of it. But even just the needs, like before I was born, I didn't have any bloody needs, right? And now I've got all these needs, and then it's the desires, and I've got to deal with the desires, I've got to deal with the needs, I've got to, even here in this idyllic place, yeah, I still have to get up now. If I want to live a good life as I understand it, I'm getting up at 5 o'clock every day, every single day. I still have to drag myself. This morning I had to drag myself out of bed. I still had to push myself. For what? Because my dad and my mum had a nice little rubber-dub in 1966, and now I've got to do this. Get up 5 o'clock in the morning, come with water. Yes, it's very nice. The sun's beautiful, and I'm very grateful. I appreciate that I'm in a relatively wonderful position, right? And then I go in the sea. It's all very nice, yeah. But and then I'm gonna have to do exercise and do yoga, and then I'm gonna have to deal with the need for food, right? For what? All because it's just ridiculous. All because of a need of a desire that my parents had to have sex.
Yeah, the desire to create a mini-me, basically, because they could not find the one within. See, that's why my emphasis is upon finding the one within, finding the child inside, and that should dissipate the charge, the charge and the desire to create another one. It should do. When you do that process, when you turn your focus in, it should discharge the need to go out to create anything or to consume anything. And all you're left with is basic needs to be satisfied, and then that's not a dramatic thing. You just realize you're here in a flesh suit. The flesh suit needs certain things to survive. So you get on with stoically, you get on with satisfying those needs as simply as you can, as efficiently as you can. There's no even dramatic charge around that after a while. You just know that this is what the machine requires. Very stoically, you satisfy those needs without drama, no charge. That's what I was saying about stop desiring. Just remove the charge and you'll see that it's not a big deal. You can easily, in the West, I'm saying, not in some places. Some places they're having big problems around trying to get basic food just to survive. So that I would say there's more charge. But here, there shouldn't be any charge around you feeding yourself. In the West, there's so much abundance, as I said, of everything. You can live from landfill. You can live from tips here. You can live from people's discards. You see, you can put notices in, please leave the things you don't need outside your door. We used to do that. When I first started out, when I was young, we done this as a little kind of a hustle. We went round and put leaflets through the door, please leave your waste outside. We can recycle it. And we just lived that way. We had shirts, beautiful shirts from Jerram Street, top bespoke shirts left outside in certain areas, lovely suits, beautiful shoes, everything, worn a couple of times, left in bags outside to collect. So I know that's the case, and it's even worse now with this real fast fashion and everything, where things turn over every week. Apparently you've got to discard your clothes every week now. That's fast fashion. See, they've instilled that now into people. You know, that desire to have a new dress every week. It's not good enough to have this wear the same clothing twice apparently and be seen in it on Instagram. So you're a tramp if you're doing that apparently. So you must have fresh clothes every time you video for Instagram. You see, this is the cult we're in at the moment. So it's manufactured desire. Dissipate all of that charge and you'll find you're left with, as Danny rightly says, you can't, unless you kill yourself, you're going to be left with basic needs to satisfy. And they're easily satisfied in the West, easily. So there shouldn't be any dramatic charge around fulfilling those needs. It should be just a simple matter of getting up, feeding yourself simply, and then dissipating any stress in your life, simply. And there we go.
Yeah, and even with the food, the amount of food that's thrown away is just absolutely, it's awful. The amount of food that's thrown away in the West. And if you were resourceful, if we were resourceful here, for example, we could easily find places like there are these hotels that we've been to. Remember we went to that hotel, right? And after we ate their buffet, yeah, we asked, can you give us some stuff to take home that you're going to throw away? And they gave us this big container of food to take home, right? And if we were a bit more resourceful and a bit less prideful, perhaps, and a bit more industrious and courageous, if we needed to, we could, even if we didn't need to, right? And otherwise, even if we got the money to buy it, there's really what we could do, right, is we could go to these places, go to these hotels where they have these buffets, or go to the restaurants, right, and explain to them, that this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to live minimally. We're trying to reduce the waste that's going on in the world.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Why don't we come to an arrangement with you where we come at night?
It would be
right?
a beautiful exercise.
Right. Yeah.
It would be a beautiful.
We come at night. We're not going to tell anyone about it. You're not going to have a whole bunch of people coming to scrounge off you.
Right.
But we're not going to come to your restaurant anyway.
Yeah.
Right. We're not going to come to it. So you're not going to lose anything. But we'll quietly come every night and take away some food, just enough for us.
Yes.
Right. That you're going to throw away from your buffet. If we could easily do that.
You'd find you could live forever like that. You could actually live forever like that. If they could stand their ego down and their desire to control the situation and never give anything away, because it may give the impression that there's a lot of waste at the end of the day. You see, if that was the case, I used to do a soup run, for example. I used to do a soup run for the homeless. And we used to pick up sandwiches from Boots, Starbucks, etc., all the big players in town. At the end of their trading, obviously we had an arrangement with them. They knew we were a bona fide charity. It was Bondway. It was called Bondway. Anyone who remembers back in the day, they were in Vauxhall, based in Vauxhall. So we used to go around and pick up all of our stock, our sandwiches, sandwich stock from these players, Boots, Starbucks, etc., etc. And you can't believe, even when we'd finished our soup run, we'd gone round to all the places behind the Savoy Hotel, Holborn, Lincoln's Inn Field, Victoria. We'd done our rounds. We gave out all the sandwiches. Even at the end of our run, Even at the end of it, when we've closed, I was told to throw away the rest that we had on board, and it was massive amounts of pallets of sandwiches. I had to throw them reluctantly in the dustbin because they can't be kept again for another day. So they'd come to their expiry date at the end of picking them up from the Starbucks. So let alone, now we've got them we cannot bring them over to the next day. So we had to throw them, and it was masses. There was maybe 4 pallets full of sandwiches that I had to throw away every run. See, and that's what I was saying about abundance. It's madness. See, as Danny said, we could do it, but I've already done it really. In doing that, I saw the game. I saw through the curtain, you know, Wizard of Oz, to Toto. I pulled back the curtain by being there. It was a revelation. This is what the game is all about. You see, they're manufacturing this desire by holding on to produce and destroying it at the end of the day, when they could distribute it to people who haven't got any food. But then that would show everybody that the game is crazy. You see, it's just madness. So Danny's right. If we wanted to live that way, the point I'm making is there's no need in the West. There's absolutely no need for need. Nobody should be in a state of need. There's overproduction galore. The whole system runs on overproduction. They can't bear to run out of stock, apparently. The shelves must always be full when you go to Starbucks. Never empty. Whoa. God forbid at the end of the day there's an empty shelf. So they're crazy, they're manically overproducing just to keep the shelves full, just for appearance. And I saw that by working, like I said, in Bondway and seeing behind the curtain. So for sure, see, just remember that there isn't, you know, it's like a kind of a situation where you've been in a war. Almost. That's what they've manufactured. They manufactured this tension in people. You might starve. You need perfume. You might be told that you're a stink. You might be told by your friends that you smell. So you must have this Armani blah, 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 goddess perfume or whatever to spray on yourself. God forbid someone might smell some natural underarm odor. God forbid they smell a tiny natural fragrance coming from your body. See, you would be shunned by all your social circle apparently, and your family would turn their backs on you if you haven't got Armani, whatever the new one is. See, I don't know what it is, but that's what it is. This is the game, you see. So you have to that's why I said stop that process. Stop desiring. See, stop desiring. There is no desire. It's been manufactured. It's drama around need. It's a coating of drama around a core of need. And that core of need has been satisfied in the West. You've got no needs. Have a look. You've got 13 pairs of shoes in your cupboard. I bet you. Have a look. Count them well. You might forget some because they're under the bed. And the rest, you see. But on average, have a look. You'll have 10 pairs there. Wellington boots, this, where you never use them. Sports shoes, trainers, this pair, that pair, nice pair to go out with, 2 pairs of those, this pair is ridiculous. You never wear them, in fact, if you're to be honest. There's a pair or 2 that you probably wear that are very comfortable, and the rest are just stuck, you know, in the back of the cupboard or up in the top of or wherever, under your bed. You see? So this is what it is. There's a core, there's a basic core for needs, for basic needs. They've already long been satisfied if you're living in the West. The rest is a coating of charge, which we call desire. It's a coating around, the electric coating that they've manufactured around the core need. And that's what we call desire. When you unpack it, you see there is no such thing. There shouldn't be any such thing in the West as desire. You're not starving. The only time you should desire food, there should be a strong charge around satisfying a need, is when you're close to death and you need that next food in order to live. That's when it could be called desire for food. But it's decadent to call anything desire where there's no, you know, the needs have already been long satisfied.
Again, I think you're being unrealistic and harsh, too harsh here and too simplistic, right? People can't just stop having desires, right? And I don't have the solution to it, but awareness is part of it. Being aware of what desire is, where it comes from. And so the only thing I'm suggesting is what I suggested before, which is pausing. And I'm speaking to myself here because I forget to do it. But every day, learning to put pausing as a practice, if you like, as a spiritual practice, pausing before you fulfill that desire. Pause. Where did that desire come from? Right? Who put that desire there? Where did it come from? Why do I have a desire to have sex? Well, you have a desire to have sex because the world and your DNA is planning for you to get someone pregnant or for you to be pregnant yourself. That's why you have a desire to have sex, right? Why do I have a desire to have this chocolate bar and this cake? Why? Where did that desire come from? That's not a free choice. I didn't freely choose to have this desire. Where did the desire to have this come from, to have a cigarette?
Yeah, I'd still gently push back and say that it is a good strategy to pause, but only to see that desire is unnecessary. It's not a need. The need is there, and then the coating put on top turns into desire, it mutates it into a desire. There isn't any actual need. So where's the desire come from when you analyze it? What is desire? It's an electric charge around a basic need, but the basic need's been satisfied. So there's the sum that unlocks you from it all. Then you can look at it and say, oh, right, I see. I'm already okay without a meal today. Why am I desiring food? It's inappropriate to desire food when you're already nutritionally satisfied, which is the case with most people who live in the West. They're absolutely okay as they are without the desire on top. You see, why desire when there's no need to desire? That's what I'm saying. Just stop the whole thing. It's a neurosis. That's what I'm saying. See it's a neurosis and it won't exist. You'll be free of it. Once you see it's a neurosis and not a need, not a basic need to desire, there's no need to desire when you're fulfilled already, then you'll see it as a neurosis and then it's gone. You can stop it immediately. You've seen through the behavior pattern. Now it doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't trouble you. It should be the case that it's gone because now you're living in a state of supply, of fulfillment. Done. You've seen that. There's no need for all the things we're consuming. So,
Okay, and as per usual, if you've got any thoughts about what we're saying here, or comments, or criticisms, questions, and you're watching this on YouTube, please feel free to comment, and we will continue to look at the comments and read some of them out and respond to them.